And when life knocked you down, jump back up and said, it's not over until I win.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Goals Over Benzo's YouTube channel, where I'll be running a marathon every weekend and training for a full distance Ironman triathlon. But most importantly, I'll be talking about recovering from benzo withdrawal and hopefully encouraging somebody else to do the same. All right, so it is 7:30 in the morning here in Kingsland, Georgia, gearing up for marathon number 18 of 2022. The first thing that I want to talk about today is why I started running in withdrawal in the first place. Now, I completely understand that many different people have many different symptoms in withdrawal, okay? It's not just cookie cutter all across the board. So I completely understand and empathize that some people are absolutely, their bodies are just intolerant of exercise in the withdrawal process. So I am not in any way, shape, or form trying to pressure y'all into saying like, hey, you need to go out and exercise, because I personally didn't have to deal with what is known as exercise intolerance. My personal situation, and by the way, I got my jaw broken a few years back, so sometimes I talk with a lisp. So anyways, you know, be kind in the comments. Also, there's a bunch of freaking yellow flies out here that keep stinging me, so it's kind of distracting. Anyways, my situation was the polar opposite, right? I could not sit still if my life depended on it when I got off the benzo medication, okay, which was Klonopin. I came off 8 milligrams of Klonopin. I could not sit still because I constantly had this adrenaline on steroids mixed with chemical anxiety that just made it impossible to sit still. If I tried to lay down in my bed, I would get this impending doom, and it felt like the universe was crashing in on me and like my soul was going to implode if I just laid in my bed for, just for a couple of minutes. This would happen to me. So I constantly had to be moving. Now, as I'm sure a lot of you can imagine, or if you are going through similar things or have been through similar things, then you know that when your body is filled with adrenaline and chemical anxiety and you're experiencing derealization where it feels like you're floating out of your own body, then it makes it practically impossible to socialize with other humans. Okay, so many people that are going through withdrawal, they have to isolate themselves, which isolation can be a whole nother form of grief. It can be a whole nother form of torture. Another thing and another reason why people go into isolation is because yet another symptom of withdrawal is that we develop aphasia, which is where you cannot properly form words. You can't form sentences. I know when I got off, for at least the first year, I could not form sentences. Now, it's not that I couldn't physically say words, okay? It's that my brain was so scrambled up, it's such scrambled eggs, that it felt like it took a lot of effort. I had to really try to piece words together almost like a puzzle, just as in my mind, just to say the most simplest of things. It was deeply humiliating, and it was deeply dehumanizing and deeply isolating. And when you are just placed in the world without the use of speech, it's terrifying. And yes, it's traumatizing. especially for someone such as myself, and I know a lot of people can relate with this and withdrawal, my identity was kind of wrapped up in being a fairly loudmouth, obnoxious, outgoing individual. And, and humor was like my defense mechanism. And I lost all of that. It's damn near physically impossible and emotionally impossible to have any inkling of confidence in withdrawal, because your whole world is just completely turned upside down. Now, I believe it was around month 5 or 6, somewhere around there in withdrawal, that I started making it a habit to watch motivational videos like clockwork. I turned it into a routine, to a discipline, whatever you want to call it. I would watch motivational videos every 30 minutes like clockwork. I'd either watch a motivational video, listen to some empowering music, or both every 30 minutes. And these videos, these speakers that I would listen to, really started to build a fire pretty deep within me, okay, like almost to a gut cellular level. And I began to develop this attitude, this mentality, this outlook of life where, okay, I'm going to start fighting for my life. Now, don't get me wrong, I was already fighting for my life. I mean, I began fighting for my life when I checked myself into rehab and went through 7 grueling months of the most barbaric taper off this fucking medication that I can think of, right? So I was fighting for my life. But I wasn't quite sure if people understood how hard I was fighting, because I couldn't express with words how hard I was fighting. And I was agoraphobic. I couldn't leave my house. So I couldn't express really with much action how hard I was fighting. I guess from an outside perspective, looking at somebody who is an agoraphobic mess and who can't even talk to somebody or look them in the eye, that person's messed up, man. That person's not fighting. That person's kind of just giving up on themselves, giving up on life. That would be an outside perspective. So I desperately wanted to find a new way. All my friends back home were cheering me on through Facebook. I couldn't talk to them on the phone out of shame and aphasia. I would message them here and there on Facebook Messenger, but I wanted to show them. And I wanted them to be proud of me. So, the idea, I can't remember exactly how it popped into my head, but I decided I'm going to run a marathon. I found a training schedule that spanned over a period of about 7 months, I believe. And I decided that I'm going to commit myself to this every day. And no matter what symptoms I'm experiencing that day, I'm going to run this marathon. Because people don't understand agoraphobia, but for some reason, people understand running 26.2 miles. You know, it sounds kind of corny, but you know how, like, on America's Got Talent, how about 80% of the people that are performing, they have some type of disability or some type of tragic backstory, but either they're singing or their guitar playing, they got something that's their escape, that's their muse that they use to show the world, like, hey, I'm still capable. And for me, I decided that running was going to be that thing for me. So, Without further ado, I'm gonna run marathon number 18. Thank you for stopping by, checking out this channel. I really appreciate it. If you are going through withdrawal, hang in there. Hang in there. It gets so much easier.
And hope that you don't suffer, but take the pain.